Hi, I'm Jay Mujara with Overhaul Training, and in this video, I want to talk to you briefly about an email that I got earlier this week from Samuel Brooks. Samuel was using the flex bar to do some exercises for his elbow tendonitis, and when he does a particular motion, he ends up with a loud crack. And he was wondering if that's unusual or if it's fairly common and if it's something to be concerned about. Now, a little bit of background. Samuel's an architect and spends a lot of his time working on a computer using the CAD program. So right off the bat, I'm thinking, it sounds like a repetitive stress injury, right? He's constantly doing the same little shortcuts on the keyboard for hours and hours a day, day after day, week after week. Eventually, that's going to lead to a lot of trigger points and different issues going on in the elbow joint. To make matters worse, he ended up feeling like he tweaked it at the gym at one point as well. So now, why is this something that I would recommend addressing? The reason being, the loud cracking sound, in my opinion, is coming from one of two possibilities. So either there's a lot of muscular tension and one of the tendons is snapping across a bony process, and that's making the loud sound, or there's extra tension actually between the bones themselves. And let's say, for example, the radius and ulnar in the forearm, they actually connect down here, and when you go into supination and pronation, they have to glide across each other. Now, if there's a point in that range of motion where they get kind of stuck, that's where you can get the pain, and then you click past it, and then there's the relief. Either way, down the road, eventually you could end up having that tendon wearing down, and you end up with tendinosis, or the bones themselves wear down, you could end up with arthritis. So, how do you address it? All right, here we go. We're going to apply my 4-step process for fixing overuse injuries, and here we go. Step 1, identify the offending activity. Now, Samuel already did this for us when he identified how much time he spends on the computer working on the CAD program. So that's the activity. Now, step 2 is stop or reduce activity. Now, unfortunately, because of his work, that's not really a possibility, which means he's now going to have to double down on step 3, which is releasing the trigger points. You could do this a few different ways by using either the stick and working on it yourself. You can use a massage star to get in there and dig into the trigger points. I like this because you can get really good deep pressure with a lot of control, and it's really easy on your hands and wrists to hold it. Gives you a lot of leverage. Or you can go see a massage therapist or an acupuncturist. Either way, as long as you're still doing the offending activity, you're going to have to continue the maintenance work on releasing the trigger points. Then, once you've released the trigger points, follow it up with a little stretching to get the length back in the muscle tissue. And after that, we move on to step 4, which is strengthening the weak tissues. Now, let's recap really quick. Seeing as most of the elbow pain is actually being caused by a lot of the actions from the wrist, let's review what the wrist can do. All right, so we've got extension and flexion, then there's supination and pronation, and then there's radial and ulnar deviation, right? So you're going to look at the movements that you're doing on your daily basis that's giving you the repetitive stress injury, and if you're always doing one particular motion, you now want to strengthen the opposite motion. And you can do that by either using your opposite hand for some manual resistance, you can pick up a weight, you can use a rubber TheraBand for some extra work, and then you could also even use the flex bar to give resistance. Either way, you're going to have to experiment, find which are the weak spots, and start to get them stronger so you can balance out the tension in that joint. Makes sense so far, right? Here's one little extra thing that I do recommend. For a lot of people, if you work with a computer or your hands or you're a chiropractor, whatever it is that you're doing, if you're constantly doing manipulations in front of you and it's a lot of the same motions, ideally we want to start opening up the range of motion and get the rest of the range of the wrist, elbow, and joint back to a healthy degree. And one of my favorite tools for that is an Indian club. Now, I'm not going to demonstrate it here because 1, I only do some basic things, but really the basic is all you need. And 2, I don't want to smash the crap out of my space. So, essentially, you're going to use this Indian club, you're going to hold it by the end, and you do some large circular motions. You can do more than just a circle here, but there's different types of figure eights and patterns that you can get into. And what's great about this is as you're swinging it, the weight of the club actually causes distraction in the joints. So where your issue is that there's too much compression, it's actually going to relieve that compression. And then while you're relieved of the compression, you got a nice joint distraction. You're then going through all these big circular ranges of motion. So you're getting the wrist to go through pretty much everything. All 6 of those there's different actions that I described a minute ago, but even the elbow, you're getting elbow flexion and extension while you're also getting this movement. So you're getting the radial ulnar joint to move around, but then even the shoulder, you're coming all the way back up and through and getting your scapula to move around and freeing up, opening up the pec and pec minor quite a bit when you come up through the range. It feels fantastic for anybody who spends a lot of time working in front of them and not moving around. So there's my advice for what I recommend to do if you've got an elbow that cracks. My name is Jamie Dreyer. Hopefully this video has been helpful to you. And if you liked it, show me a little bit of love and hit the like button. I'll see you in the next video.